everyone. Here we go.
Here's Bethany.
Hey. So this is the first chapter of Dream Speaker Metaphor. It's called The Building of Cities in Separation. I adore baths. There are many reasons for this, but the one most relevant to my current train of thought is that the bathroom seems to be one of those places where geniuses like to visit the creatively inclined. They whisper into our eager ears, get our minds whirring, and plant seeds will drive us slightly mad until we bring the inspirations bestowed upon us into fruition. While bathing one winter evening, I noticed that if I squinted, the parts of my body emerging from the water looked like little islands upon a placid sea. Clavicles, bosom, knees, all land masses. Why settle for islands, though? I thought. No, I want to be a world. With this in mind, I turned over onto my left side and started repositioning myself to make the best kinds of continents that I could. I placed my hand over my exposed hip, made a nice spacious landmass with my right thigh and buttock. I noticed that my boob would make a great place to build a city. I submerged half of my face in the water, felt a rush into my ear with a deep whoomp sound, and opened my mouth to make a cabin that a ship full of curious souls might sail into, take shelter in, and explore. This wasn't so comfortable in my neck though, so with a giggle I sprayed the water out of my mouth and found that having my head slightly raised was a much better option. I lifted my left arm to reveal a fair forest of pit hair, and imagined that this wild cluster of brown trunks had a lush green canopy of foliage. Looking at my outstretched arm, I was reminded of the gesture exchanged between Adam and the Judeo-Christian god within Michelangelo's painting, The Creation of Adam. Inspired by this, I became one of two siblings who were reaching out to one another. Lightly touching fingertips, we sang with one another a song that underpins the entire universe. Yes, the entire universe. For we were no ordinary pair. I was now a full-fledged planet with an atmosphere, gravity, seasons, and tides, and my counterpart, Asteros, was composed of all stars and planets visible from me. Then a beat arose, and it sounded something like... And I recognized the tones and rhythmic thumping as a song of construction. Simultaneously, I saw a montage of many millennia of societies rising and falling upon my form. Decades of history elapsed in seconds, all coming and going in quick inconsequential succession. It was an interesting juxtaposition, all this chaos against my tranquil kin who was completely unconcerned by these human matters. Until the people living upon me grew to be cunning. They put many hundreds of years of adaptation and learning into practice and created a new kind of society, industrious, unsustainable, and callous. With each passing moment, I was losing sight of my sibling. Their form grew vague due to the harsh fluorescent light that emitted from both cities and suburbia, and the smoke that danced up from the exhaust pipes of cars and factories didn't help the matter either. With urgency, I attempted to reach out for Asteros' hand and felt a mighty resisting tug from the large metal chains that had been dug out of my flesh, crafted, and then fastened around my wrists. In the blink of an eye, mechanical monstrosity dragged my arm down and secured my wrist together awkwardly over my stomach, anchoring me into submission. I then felt an irritating crawling sensation upon my chin and cheeks. All of a sudden my mouth was forced open and I was overwhelmed with the taste of trash, food scraps, and rancid filth being poured onto my now vulnerable tongue. I wanted to move my head and lash my tongue out in protest, but they too had been fixed in place. This imposition upon me meant that my body was no longer mine. With more warning and time, perhaps I could have resisted. However, my perception of time was vastly different from that of these people. For every one of my seconds, they had years, and this was a great advantage in their favor. Rendered helpless, all I could do was weep, feel my saline misery slide down my cheeks and dissipate into my seas, and hear the excited chattering of the constant stream of tourists that sailed about my ears. I smirked as I realized that they must have perceived my tears as a pair of iconic waterfalls, and the humor of this allowed me to shake myself from my despair. How much time have I got?
I got 2 minutes.
I thought so, yes. I'm going to give you a little bit more. I have 6 minutes, I'm going to use it, right? There's a little bit of the second one called All Seeing, All Knowing, Ever Present. With the second wind of determination, I began to plan and take my first step towards developing the sort of quasi-omniscience and omnipresence that allows me to tell you this tale. You see, I figured if it was time that was on their side, then I needed to learn to perceive time as they did. My lids lowered, casting me into a calm void, and I found it much easier to concentrate and will myself to slow down with this decrease in stimulation. As I exhaled a deep, conscious breath, I heard my desired change. The sound of it was gorgeous, not so busy and high-pitched as I was used to. This new soundscape was gentle, musical, curious. Well, actually, that was more so after I learned to dismiss the clanking of machines and the semi-audible array of frequencies buzzing around that I still sometimes mistake for tinnitus. Another thing I quickly came to adore was being able to appreciate the coming and going of day and night. No longer strobe-like, I could bask in the subtle alterations of light and hue, and hope that Astros was still out there somewhere with that beautiful spherical hunk of my flesh that I lost in a cosmic accident some time ago. Actually, now that I think about it, everything became more lovely once I learned to slow down. There was a stillness to every sensation, and I found it awfully comforting how this mirrored the changes I noticed within myself. And then, I separate my mind from my body and become the wind and spy on people and try to find people that help me out. And I found this person who, swims over and, trespasses on a trash ferry and, gets in a hazmat suit and, tries to change the trash workers' minds. And they, throw her into my mouth and make me swallow her, and then she goes on this crazy lucid journey through my body, and it's all metaphors for all the different things. And that's my book.
Timekeeper.
Oh, if you want to know the time, 5:54:77.
Oh, yeah.